What now for Thailand's bar girls? This is a common story for some Thai bar girls. It was almost a fairy tale ending for 23-year-old Som. Som, an Issan girl who was lured to Pattaya for a better future, fell in love with a boyfriend who was about to sweep her off to a better life in Australia. And then enter the coronavirus. In this video, we delve into the effects the coronavirus is having on the bar girls working in Thailand. If this is your first time on the channel, or you have returned and like the content, then can I ask you to please like, share and subscribe. It really does help me and the channel. Oh yeah, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss out on upcoming videos. Pattaya's adult entertainment industry is on the edge of the abyss, but it wasn't always that way. For decades, Pattaya has been on the forefront for gentlemen looking to explore their wild ways. Men travel to Thailand in droves, either hoping to find a bit of excitement, some company, and even a wife. For the women of Thailand, it's an opportunity to earn some decent money for college, for their families, and their future. For some, it is about finding a handsome foreign husband. Pattaya, and indeed all the entertainment districts in Thailand, have been booming for a long time, and many women have found a foreign man to help them fulfill their dreams and desires. In recent years, times have changed due to certain factors, including a military government who have brought in ridiculous visa laws, a change of demographic travellers, specifically the Chinese travellers, and the world's economy in general. And now enter the coronavirus pandemic. Even before the coronavirus struck, tourism was on the downturn and beer bars were struggling to get customers. Thailand shut bars and clubs in mid-March 2020 as coronavirus cases surged. It halted international passenger flights, stopping the tourism that had made Bangkok the world's most visited city for 4 years. The coronavirus has swept with hurricane force across the globe. Before they knew it, airlines were cancelling flights and governments were blocking entry from virus-hit countries. Travellers who were still in Thailand quickly had to pack their bags and get home before their countries closed their borders. Many women were left behind. Their bars closed and bosses were saying they would never reopen. What now for the thousands of women relying on this type of work? The government introduced a 5,000 baht a month casual worker handout, but bar workers do not qualify for this scheme. Many have had to join the line of the hungry and unemployed seeking free food handouts. So many people in the industry are in the same boat. The entire country is suffering, and now that the government has extended its emergency decree and slowed Pattaya's planned reopening, the pain will only worsen, especially amongst bar girls. Many of the girls were lucky enough to go home to their families before the government halted interprovincial buses and trains. For those that lingered in Pattaya and Bangkok, hoping the crisis would only be for a short time, it was too late and they had to stay. With restaurants, market and food stalls now selling alcohol while bars remain closed, pubs have started adding kitchens and bar girls have turned to waitressing. Some of the women still have foreign sponsors sending cash to them to get by, but a great many do not and have to sell their possessions to get by. With international travel at a standstill, Thailand will have to make do with domestic tourists for the foreseeable future. The government is launching measures to subsidise travel by Thai families so more girls will be able to go home to their families, but still, that doesn't help the girls who have to find other ways to make a living. Their children and families generally rely on her income. Many women are praying for the day the health restrictions are lifted and tourists return, but there is the chance that Thailand's infamous red light districts could be very different by then. This COVID-19 may just be an accelerant for change. For decades, tourism marketing was skewed towards men, but the growing importance of Chinese visitors in particular have changed that. For example, in 2018, more than 53% of tourists were women. It will be mind-blowing how many Thai women will be made unemployed this year because of the impact of the virus. Most of the ladies working in nightlife are mostly from a poor family or live in the country. They have virtually no chance to find work in a company. The effects of the lockdown has meant the whole sex industry has collapsed. Thailand has now begun to lift some of the restrictions, with infections declining. There is even talk of tourism resuming. But a health ministry spokesman has said that nightlife venues would be among the last to reopen. Many of the girls would have racked up debts to pay for their child's education, rent, family, etc. Many girls may even have thoughts about committing suicide, as family members may not know about her work. Even if plans for bars, pubs and karaoke venues to reopen are brought forward, sex workers fear there will be few clients, as most are foreigners and the borders remain closed. A 2014 UN AIDS report estimated there were 123,530 sex workers in Thailand, but advocacy groups put the figure at more than twice that number, including tens of thousands of migrants from neighbouring Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia and Vietnam. Many of these young women are now among the 2 million Thais the State Planning Agency believes may be made unemployed this year because of the impact of the virus. The coronavirus has forced many sex workers to turn to new types of work, from selling goods to becoming waitresses. But for migrant workers, there are fewer options. Activists say migrant or stateless sex workers are among the hardest hit by the economic impact of the coronavirus. Thailand has introduced a raft of measures to help workers affected by the coronavirus, including financial aid for informal Thai workers and for Thai and foreign workers registered under the social security system. But our survey has found that only 5% of sex workers are part of the social security system and 35% have no access to government aid. The Department of Women's Affairs and Family Development said it provides reef supplies and job training for sex workers and plans to amend the prostitution law to allow them to access social welfare benefits. Workers in a group that is a support organisation for sex workers conducted a survey that found some sex workers in Bangkok were refused financial aid after they indicated they were sex workers. There must be grave concerns that businesses will never be back to normal while the country's borders are still closed, crippling tourism in all parts of Thailand. The future for so many Thai bar girls is very bleak. Hopefully, a vaccine is developed soon so the world can go back to some resemblance of normal. I fear that is a couple of years away, and that may be too long for most of Thailand's bar and sex workers.